of Igama College's Foundation Incorporated, your business ethics teacher. So for today, we will be going to discuss the forms of business organization in terms of their purpose and role in socio-economic development.
So let's define now what is ethics. Ethics talks about how we behave and how we should behave as human beings, different from animals, plants, and other known creatures. It talks also about our life with all its complications, difficulties, problems, and brokenness. Ethics is the discipline that investigates the rightness or wrongness of business activities and the conduct of the business persons and professionals. Then it is called business ethics. In short, ethics is the discipline that examines one's moral standards or the moral standards of a society. Let's define now the business ethics. Business ethics it is a study of moral standards and how these apply to the social systems and organizations through which modern societies produce and distribute goods and services, and to the behaviors of the people who work within these organizations. In other words, it is a form of applied ethics. It not only includes the analysis of moral norms and moral values, but also attempts to apply the conclusions of this analysis to that assortment of institutions, organizations, activities, and pursuits that we call business. So let's define now the term business organization. Business organization describes how businesses are structured and how their structure helps them meet their goals. In general, businesses are designed to focus on either generating profit or improving society. When a business focuses on generating profits, it is known as a for-profit organization. When an organization focuses on improving the social goods through the arts, education, healthcare, or some other area, it is known as a non-profit or not-for-profit organization, and it is not typically referred to as a business. Actually, there are different categories of business organizations that relate to how the business is established, owned, and operated. The basic categories of business organization are sole proprietorship, partnership, and corporation. Ownership is one of the most important features of business organization. Each type of business organization has benefits as well as disadvantages. No matter how a business is organized, it takes on certain risks as it operates. One way to minimize risk is for a business to use its assets and investments wisely, whether these are equipment, knowledge, property, or relationships. The more efficiently a business uses its assets, the greater the chance that it will make a monetary profit. Business organization affects how a business is treated under the law. State and federal governments provide incentives and rules for every type of business organization. Profitability in industry helps a country's economy grow, so governments generally support corporations by passing laws that protect investors from liability for the debts of the business. So let's discuss now the first type or the first form of business organization, which is the sole proprietorship. So a sole proprietorship is a business with a single proprietor or owner. It is the most basic type of for-profit organization and the least regulated by the government. The owner of a sole proprietorship makes all the decisions about the business and is free to keep all the profits his or she makes from the business. However, the owner is also solely liable or responsible for the debts of the business, meaning that his or her personal assets are at risk if the business cannot repay its debts. So these are the example of a sole proprietorship. So the first one is a sari-sari store and a carinderia. So the single proprietorship business must be registered under the Department of Trade and Industry or DTI and Bureau of Trade Regulation and Consumer Protection or BTRCP. Among the advantages of a single proprietorship is that you get all the profits and business decisions are entirely under your discretion. However, it is disadvantageous mainly because you have unlimited liability. According to the author Karen Collins, the principle of unlimited personal liability means that if the company incurs a debt or suffer a catastrophe, say getting sued for causing an injury to someone, the owner is personally liable. As a sole proprietor or proprietor, you put your personal assets or your bank account, your car, maybe even your home at risk for the sake of your business. When the owner dies, the business also ceases to exist if it is registered as a single proprietor. When two or more people choose to own and operate a business together, the business is known as a partnership. In a general partnership, all the owners share in the financial profits and losses, and they share the liability for all of the debts. In a limited partnership, one or more of the owners, called the general partners, run the business and have unlimited liability, or are held entirely responsible for the business's debts. But there may also be limited partners in the business who invest in the business and have only limited personal liability for the business's debts. So the law of the business partnership in the Philippines can be found in Republic Act number 386, also known as the Civil Code of 1949. Proprietorships and partnerships are popular types of businesses. In fact, there are more sole proprietorships than any other types of business. However, most large businesses in the world is what we call corporations. Corporations are organized very differently from proprietorships and partnerships. The ownership of a corporation is not connected to one individual or a small group of individuals. Ownership of corporation is represented by shares of stock that can be transferred between owners or stockholders. A corporation is a legal entity in the same sense that an individual person is, meaning that the corporation has designated rights, responsibilities, and privileges. When a corporation borrows money, it does so in its own name or instead of in the name of its original founders or any other persons. As a result, the liability for the company's debt is limited. The most a stockholder can lose is the amount he or she has invested. A large corporation can have millions of owners or stockholders. Actually, the law on corporation can be found in Batas Pambansa Bilang 68, otherwise known as the Corporation Code of the Philippines. This type of business can either be a stock corporation or a non-stock corporation. The owner of a stock corporation are ordinarily called stockholders or shareholders, while those of non-stock are simply called members. To start a corporation, a charter or article of incorporation must be drawn up in the state where the corporation intends to do business. The charter includes the corporation's name, the forecasted length of its life, its business purpose, and the number of shares of stock that can be distributed or sold. Another requirement for a starting corporation is the creation of bylaws, which are rules that govern the actions of the business. For example, bylaws will state how the business's directors are to be selected. In large corporations, the stockholders elect a board of directors. The board of directors then elects the company's managers, who oversee the operations of the corporation in the interest of the stockholders. The result of this arrangement is that stockholders, because they have control over the directors and have control of the corporation. The three main advantages of having a corporation or this type of business corporation is you have a limited liability, you have financial resources, and a continuity. So let's summarize today's lesson. For the sole proprietorship, the requirement of this organization is none. The legal status of this organization is owner is the business. The liability of this organization is you have unlimited liability. For the management, it is owner decides or owner decision. For the dissolution, owner decides or owner's death. For the duration, death or disinterest of the owner. For the partnership, requirements organization is the agreement on parties. The legal status is owners not a separate entity. The liability is you have unlimited liability. For the dissolution is owners decides or death or bankruptcy, and the duration is withdrawal or bankruptcy. And lastly, the corporation. The requirements of this organization is the state charter or organization fees. The legal status is separate entity from owners. The liability is you have limited liability of shareholders. The management is director, set policy, and appoint officers. The dissolution does necessarily end, and the duration can be perpetual.
So this is the end of our lesson for today. The complete information of today's lesson is available in LMS, Messenger, and Google platform. Remember to send me also your exit responses in our chat room following the given pattern. 3 things you learned today, 2 things you found interesting with this lecture, and 1 question you still have in your mind regarding this lesson. Rate us also your today's understanding by sending us one of the following emojis: satisfied, happy, confused, boring, and sleepy. Good day and see you again in the next lecture.